So, years ago, I had moved down here to where I'm at now. I'm in California, by the way. And before I had moved down here, I had started going to church for a few years prior to that. I think it was back in 98, 99. And I moved down here in 2006, still in California the whole time. And after I moved down here, I had trouble with establishing myself and finding a church and then getting into a church and then sticking with the church, being able to go to church basically. I've struggled over the years off and on, so I haven't had consistency with church, reading the Bible, any of that stuff. It was just a choice. I had chosen for wrong reasons to go. But I tried to stick with it. I tried to make it work. I tried to be consistent. But many things in life got in the way. And in the more recent years, I've been struggling with a lot of physical world problems, a lot of different things. You notice my background here, obviously. And that's been my struggle. Part of the struggles I've been dealing with tore me apart from my family. Um, and I mean my family, not my immediate family growing up, but my family I tried to start, and my immediate family from growing up and relatives have basically separated themselves from me, or many of them have never tried to get in touch with me. I've never been able to have a good relationship with any of them. So, what many people would consider to be faith tested, I've never had my faith contested, but I have had my hope messed with, my hope destroyed and rebuilt and destroyed and rebuilt over and over again. And I hear people say, well, those are just tests, you know. But if you knew the details, if you'd been around, if you could have seen things through my lens, you would have probably felt as overwhelmed as I was, as down as I was. And I'm not saying this to get anybody to follow a faith or anything like this. I'm not trying to uh, get anybody to basically do the same thing as me because I want them to. Nothing like that. I had decided more recently, in the last week or so, to start praying to help get a sense of mind, a sense of semblance, sense of being. And I started reading again, just to make it something to where I can be, you know, a little bit more understanding of certain things that people already understand, other people have knowledge of. For me, it's always been tough. I've always been slow. I said it in another video, more recent one, about the way my mind works. And basically, I've struggled with a lot. It's interfered with socialization, if you couldn't tell from the way I speak sometimes. Um, I get a lot of thoughts that don't get to come out because I don't have people to talk to for my own life. Long story short, socialization and people I relate to. I've lost a lot of people. I've lost people I thought were friends at different points. And so I woke up just a little bit ago and I started to get onto my tablet and try to look for something to watch to kind of wake up, and I realized that I needed to do what I was supposed to remind myself of, to remember to pray and then read a little bit. But the reading didn't go on. My prayer changed from what it normally is to talking to God and to hearing an explanation. So I had a conversation in my mind, and I've never thought in the response side the way that I got the response today. And I had to write down the conversation. It was brief, but I was instructed to. We'll just put it that way. How we tell ourselves sometimes, well, if you're only getting the information from your own mind, then you're telling yourself something. But it was instructed outside of my normal thinking. And I will read to you what I wrote down. And basically, for how lost I've been in finding a direction, you'll hear other people say they were trying to find a direction, they needed a direction to go in. And we always associate it with being the same direction when it comes to the aspect of God. This is that, but it's less about being pointed in the right direction and more about understanding what the direction is. And so my conversation went like this. I said, I wanted a strategy guide to life. God said to use his TO. And I was in the Air Force for a bit, so we had the operator's manuals. We called them TOs. I can't remember specifically what the TO stood for. I probably should have looked it up before I recorded this, but we're comparing it to the Bible. We'll just leave it at that. I told him that's a builder's guide, not a map for me to follow. He told me to write this down so I would understand better. I said, I'm tired of trying to figure things out on my own. Been told my whole life by people who didn't understand my mind. He said, life is an illusion that we people create, and we see it every day. I watched as he pointed out businesses and restaurants, houses and schools, fire and police departments, hospitals and convenience stores. He said, permanent structures that go away over time. Do you think you're supposed to just make lots of money and have a better life? I started to say something. He spoke for me and said, we keep telling each other that. I didn't make you to be successful. I made you to want to return to me. He showed me how he was father to me in the same way I would want to be father to a stepchild. How I wouldn't love them any less than if they were my own, if the world abandoned me. In his relationship with me, it would be how he would be to me. He said, you keep asking me for help when I gave you each other to work together and choose to come to me. He continued, I gave you my guidebook because no matter how many people teach you, you all learn when you're supposed to. Sometimes that means when you're alone. He showed me that the simplest way I could understand how things are both connected and how we choose to come to him are with prayer and the end of our life with following his instructions. He told me to finish my prayer time and write this down. I needed to record this since this is the clearest explanation I've ever gotten in my whole life. My whole life I've struggled. Many times my family rejected the problems that I had and just blamed me for being lazy or for just intentionally not trying to understand so I didn't have to do the work. They would excuse my blaming forgetting to do a chore on me just not wanting to do it, when in fact for how often I was punished, grounded, had things taken away, time with my friends taken away, heck, how many places we moved to, they thought I was trying to get punished more often from my perspective. They thought I was trying to do things to avoid my responsibilities, when in fact, not only did I struggle with trying to maintain doing that stuff while learning, because we have to learn how to do chores as we get older, but they assumed from their perspective. They assumed from their way of thinking, the way they grew up, how they made their lives successful or were making their lives successful. They made the assumption from their point of view, but getting them to understand my point of view, they didn't have time for. I mean, granted, success takes time. Maintaining takes time. I get it. But my mother was young when she had me. She was 17. She assumed, because of how well it was working for her, she couldn't see how the way she did things doesn't work the same way with other people. Two biggest influences in my life out of three was her and my uncle. Now, they were kind of matched on the second level, where the first level was my grandfather. But I'll get into that maybe in another video. But both my mother and my uncle I looked up to. They were making their lives work. But I didn't understand what the sacrifices were. How much what they put into it, time-wise and whatnot, what it equally took away. See, my uncle became really successful because he waited to have kids and get out himself, set financially. He worked hard. He did all that stuff. Both of them told me to work hard, put in the effort. But apparently neither one of them ever bothered to study psychology, the way the mind works. So, while they were both intelligent in what they knew how to do, they had also grown up being able to socialize regularly on a normal basis. See, I had my ability to maintain any type of social circle taken away over and over again. When you move around a lot, especially if you live in the same city and you move more than 13 times in your life, which includes moving out on your own. When I moved out on my own, I was not around the influence, not around the guidance. So growing up, my social skills were very hindered. So my struggles were deep. They were hard. But out of that prayer that I had this morning, it helped me to understand not so much my struggle, but it gave me clarity on why my struggle was the way it is. In this point in my life, I have to choose to keep going or to quit. And many people face that same choice, that same struggle. This wasn't to preach about God. This wasn't to preach about religion, faith. This was to just share information with you that I thought might help people. See, I got an understanding of clarity this morning. And I knew that if I didn't write it down, I wouldn't hold on to it. But it was the clearest that I'd ever gotten. And whatever your faith, whatever your religion, whatever your choice of deity, or how you choose to believe overall, how you choose to be overall, our life, because we share one life no matter when ours ends. Life is energy. We choose as people to shape this society and every society in the way we need it to be. We can give personal opinions on how to restructure it, but we don't want to be opinionated in what works best for the structure. We're all reaching towards a future of personal goal, but the end result is going to be the same. If I've met anybody who's lived since the beginning of humanity, when groups of people came about, I wouldn't know it. Nobody would. And why would anybody want to be known for that? Put under the scrutiny of that? If you hadn't noticed the way the real world acts compared to movies and TV shows and what we're told, if you just look, trust what you know. And focus on what you want to make your life. Life is not going to be preset for anybody. Only in the spiritual realm is anything known, because the concept of time is just events that happen and have happened, and they all happen at the same time. Past, future. Time is just those elements of actions taking place. Universe getting created, planets moving. You have to see what it is you want from your life, and you basically have to understand every possible scenario you could run into. But the best advice I can give to anybody is learn the way people are, their psychology. Learn what psychology is. Learn how the mind works. Learn as much medical as you can. Don't try to go out and be a doctor or a psychologist, but learn what you can about practical, as much as you can. Then you'll know who is good to be around and who you need to avoid. Not to be mean, but so you can make your life better by not being distracted by either a person's personality, their anger, or their violence. Learn who you want to be, then try to do everything you can to get there. Why? Because if we focus on doing or being too many things, knowing too many things, while we have to learn a lot, it'll distract us from a focus. And if you can get a focus, you can learn how to keep a focus. The expression, we are our own worst enemy, we have to fight through our own distractions. That's how we become our own worst enemy. We're distracted from what we're trying to do. But never stop being who you are. Never stop what gave you that mindset to make that choice to do something. Take away from who you are. It's what gave you that idea. Don't let it take away from who people were happiest around. Your personality is yours. And if you notice that everybody's different, and how people happy in their own way, being who they are, we like being around them because of that. We don't see their face anymore. We just see that that's how we recognize them. That and their voice. And all the other subtle nuances that go with it. Body movement, dress style, whatever. Pet dog. But I don't want this to be a distraction either. I just want it to be not even guidance, but just something that helps. I mean, I guess I am trying to help people along the way by doing this. I don't have many people I hang out with. It's more periodic of somebody that I know or have met. But there's a lot of people that have built up a bad reputation about me before I had a chance to actually have one. They established it before I had a chance to really get to know any of the people that have problems with me. I have to face that. Every day I have to face that. Every day I have to keep going. My children count on me, no matter how anybody else feels about it. I know that for me, I have to do the right thing as much as I possibly can. My struggles are very hard because I don't have adequate transportation and I don't have help with the finances I need to get myself up out of this bubble. I make some money, but it's not enough. It just gets me through the month. If I had a way to make more money, I'd have a way that I could actually save for my future. At least to make other things happen. Get a vehicle, have a place to stay, all those things. But I have to figure that out. I have to do it myself. It's been several years since I've been able to have a place or to be able to do anything. I've had help along the way, but nothing that was good enough to help maintain finances, basically. But I'm figuring it out. Again, we're not guaranteed to be successful or to make our life work, but we are guaranteed to keep going as long as we keep putting the effort in. So, whatever your struggle is, don't let the mindset of what we keep telling each other distract you from your ability. You only have control over yourself. We have the things that surround us that are the things that we want, but they're not permanent. They're not always going to be there. As long as you maintain them, sure. But each thing is work. How much work do you want to give yourself? How much do you really want to hold on to? Or can you just enjoy life as you go and enjoy the opportunities as they come, but keep living? I think those people have learned how to give up unimportant things, even though they might really want to hold on to something. But they're living their lives. Some of us aren't so lucky. It's timing and chance. I know if I keep going, I'll make it. And I might make something good of myself. I might make something financially better, richer. I might not. I might just maintain. But I'm not psychic. I don't know what the future holds. And I'm guessing neither do you. You just have a really good plan, or you don't know what to plan. I say take your time. Do what you can. And that's all I got for today. That's my food for thought. And I hope that you're getting some food for thought as well. Take care. I'll see you on the next time. And don't forget to subscribe and like. Mostly subscribe. It helps. I'll talk at you later.